Hi, I'm Dr. Neeru. I'm a doctor in Ayurveda, which is the Indian system of medicine and healing, and I've been a wellness coach for more than a decade. The intent of my channel is to bring self knowledge by sharing some knowledge about our physical health, some information and knowledge about our mind, and some knowledge about our emotions to make it a holistic way of living. So, that is just a very small initiative that I have taken to start this channel and to be a part of your journey of self exploration. So, I hope you like my videos and this is of some help and benefit to you. Let's talk about something very basic and simple today. Yes, that is the biggest mistake that we do. We tend to ignore the basic and simple things in our life. And if you really know, the solutions of our biggest life problems lie in simple and basic rules. You know, when my patients come to me and they sort of explain their problems for over 30 minutes, and at the end, I give them a very basic solution. Something like chew your food properly or chew each bite for 30 times. And they feel, that's it? What else? And I say, yes, that's it. So yes, that's the kind of reaction that we give when we find a very simple solution to our life problems. Our mind cannot accept because our mind loves complexity. And one such simple thing that I'm going to talk about today is our five sense organs. Yes, the five sense organs that is a very essential part of our being. The two eyes, one nose, the two ears, one tongue, and the largest organ of the body, skin. These are the five sense organs, respectively, of the sense of the sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, and the sense of touch. Through these five organs, we are connected to this world. Every moment we are receiving stimulus, we are receiving signals from the outside world through these five doors. We hear so many noises, sounds, all the audios that we sort of hear throughout the day, all the visuals, the scenes, whether be it on the mobile, be it on the TV, in a live situation, the live scenes that we see, the smell, whether or not we realize it, a lot of smell goes through our sense of smell throughout the day. The sense of taste, and the touch, which is a very, very essential aspect of our life and of our emotions. So I'm going to talk about these five sense organs and then their relationship with the very important instrument, the mind. We realize the importance of these sense organs when we have the scarcity of these. Imagine when we have cold and we can't smell the most delicious food. Even it takes away the sense of taste. So we can't enjoy even our best dishes, even our favorite dishes. So that's when we realize the importance of the sense of smell and the sense of taste. Similarly, if we develop blisters in our mouth, again, we can't have the taste of the most delicious, most delicacious food that on this planet. So similarly, skin, if any part of the body becomes numb, we don't realize this is such a largest organ. It's all over from head to toe. We have the skin. This is the largest organ in our body, but we don't realize it until the time it is functioning well. We realize its importance when any part becomes numb, and then whole of our attention goes there. We are unable to sense anything through that part of our body. That realizes us the importance of this sense of touch. So now the next thing to understand is the relation of these five senses to our mind. We can understand this with a very simple example of how we understand a computer functioning. There is an input, there is a central processing unit, and then there is an output. Now here the input is the stimulus that we receive through these five senses. It could be what we hear, the sound, what we see, the visuals, what we smell, those vibrations of the smell. So all these vibrations of vision, of smell, of sound, they all work as input signals for the central processing unit, which is our mind. We'll explore further about it, then what is the output, we'll come to know later. Now, how our mind functions, how this basic central processing unit function in ourselves, it works on the basis of 5 elements. The first one is the belief, the second one is the value, assumption, past traumas, and the past experiences. Now let's take all these factors one by one. Let's start with beliefs. Now what forms our beliefs? So let's go back to our childhood. When we are very small child, we haven't started going to a school, and when we are sort of roaming around with my mother in a garden, and I come across a tree, but I do not know that this is a tree. Then I ask my mother, what is it? Which is, like this. This is very big, what it is. Then she explains me that this is a tree. I go to school, and then my teachers teach me that something which has a brown base and green top, with which are called leaves, this whole formation is called tree. So that's how my mind registers an image of tree. We are even made to draw tree in our schools. So how do we draw? We draw a brown base, and on the top of it, the leaves in the green color, and that's what the formation of a tree. Then I come across another tree which has brown leaves. Then I ask my mother, Mama, what is this? Because it doesn't have green leaves. Then she tells me that this is also a tree, because the leaves have been dried. So this is again a tree whose leaves have been dried. So then my mind registered it, okay, this is also a tree. So I make another image of tree, which is with these brown leaves. So now I know something like this is a tree. So now a belief is created. One day I meet one of my Spanish friends. He's the child of my father's friend who lives in Spain, and he has been born and brought up there. And then we are playing in the garden, and he tells me, oh, look at our ball. He points at the tree and is saying, our ball. I say, this is tree. He said, no, this is our ball. Now we start fighting, and then our mother intervenes and say, look, this is called our ball in Spanish, while this is called tree in English. Now this creates a very complicated clash in my mind. I'm unable to understand why he is saying something that is tree, our ball. So this is, please understand this very carefully. I'm taking very, very simple examples, but again, as I said, that the simple things we tend to ignore. We do not pay attention to simple things. And within this lies a very, very important understanding of our mind, how our mind functions. We've been hearing too many motivational speakers, inspirational speakers. Everybody tells us to change our mind. Everybody tells us to have the control of our mind. Everybody tells us to work on our mind. But we do not know how this mind functions. Then how are we going to take the control of it? How are we going to change it? How are we going to sort of bring any changes in its functionality unless we know how it functions? So it is very important to understand, and I'm using these very simple examples of childhood because all of us have gone through childhood. So please do not underestimate the power of these simple examples. So now if you really look at it, what brought that clash and conflict in my mind? That because I had registered that thing in my mind as tree, while that Spanish child has registered that thing which is similar. The object is similar, but the registration, the process of registration has been different. He has registered at the same thing as our ball, and I have registered it as tree. So this also unfolds the clashes that usually comes with languages. We feel that, so we have to understand that language is just a mode of communication. It's not the actual truth. So this is something that is really important here to understand. So that's how we work with the beliefs. This is the belief system that this is it. this is my belief, you know. How can you say something which is against my belief? And that's what create a clash in our mind. And this is the cause of so many fights. You know, my religion, I have a belief in my religion. My religion is superior, that's my belief. And the fight is happening because the other person is saying my religion is superior. So that's the clash. So that's why I said that most of the problems, the solution lies here. So let's move on to the values. Now, for example, I am a Jain, so I have a value of not eating non-vegetarian food. I've been taught from the childhood that we should not be eating non-vegetarian food. Now, how a child in our family usually is kind of accustomed to this practice, they are made to, whenever they're looking at something on the television, if a non-vegetarian visual comes, the elders in the family say, oh, this is bad, this is bad, don't look at it, this is bad, you know. So our mind registers that image of non-vegetarian food as something which is bad. So our value system is being drilled, and an emotion has been attached to it of something bad, of something hatred, you know, for something you have to have hatred for. So there is a value of not to eat non-vegetarian food, and there is an emotion attached to it of hatred. So whenever such child who has been brought up in such a family, who has been heard from the elders in the family, this is, oh, this is bad, this is hate, something to hate, you should dislike it. Then as they grow, and whenever they come across such things, they get a, you know, a sense of a sense of hatred or sense of dislike for that thing. Whenever they will come across the non-vegetarian food, they will have a yuck feeling, they'll have a sort of a feeling of hatred. So that's how the value system sort of guides our mind to generate a emotion. Let's also keep looking at, through these examples, how this whole chain of input, central processing unit, and output is working. So in the first example, the input was the when the child when I hear from my Spanish friend the word arbol. So my sense of hearing, hears arbol, and it sends a message to the central processing unit, the mind, that this is arbol. Then it clashes with my already registered belief that this is a tree, and then it generates an emotional response of rejection, rejecting that what the other person is saying. And at the same time, sometimes of even that of anger, we start getting angry. No, this is not like this is like this. And sometimes it also turns into a physical response of maybe you get into a physical physically abusing the other person. The anger rises to such level. So if you look at that input, central processing unit, and the output thing that I showed you in the slide. So here the input is what is going in as the stimulus. Here it is when the Spanish boy says arbol, the central processing unit processes it and clashes it with the already existing belief, and the output is the emotional response and the physical response. So we always respond in a specific way, and that is based on how we have processed that information. This is very, very important to understand here, that the output is dependent on how the information has been processed. Is it processed basis a belief? Is it processed basis a value? How it has been processed. And the stimulus for that processing is received from the sense organs. So this is how this whole chain functions. So as we move on, we have to also keep evaluating how this whole chain is functioning in ourselves. So we have seen the same for value. So the moment we'll see a non-vegetarian food, or we'll smell a non-vegetarian food, we'll be, somebody's dining with us and they order non-vegetarian food. The sense of smell will sort of send a signal that it is non-vegetarian food. Immediately the value of non-vegetarian food is bad, it has to be something to hate, then emotional response of hatred is generated. So this is how this whole chain works. Um, right. So let's move on to the third, which is the trauma. Now we all have heard this word, emotional trauma, the physical trauma, and all of that. So when we are young, or when we are a child, so when our mind is really fresh, it keeps registering everything that is happening all around. So supposedly, if I take an example of a very common emotional trauma that every child goes through, is that of a comparison. Our parents usually compare us with somebody who in their view is better than us. So if a child has faced that in his or her childhood a lot, the comparison, hearing that he or she is better than you, you're useless, or you're of no worth, all of that. So when such a person grows up, then whenever that person comes across somebody whom he or she feels is better, then there is a feeling of fear, or feeling of anger, or feeling of fear of rejection that comes in, that automatically creeps in, so we have to also understand here, this whole process of input, processing, and output is happening very, very automatically. We are not it's not something that um, it's happening step by step, very slowly, though at the back end it's happening step by step, but at the surface it seems that it's like tuck, it just happens, cut. For example, in the computer, when we put we do a give a command, the output comes immediately. We are not aware what processing keeps happening at the back. Similarly here, our anger just comes up, we just start feeling fearful, and we say that I automatically started feeling angry, I don't know from where the anger came, but this is whole processing that is happening at the back against the stimulus that has been received through either of these sense organs. So we have to really first understand how it happens before we can bring a change. So that's how the trauma of a comparison in the childhood usually, lets a person feel fear of rejection, or envy, or anger, aggression. All of these things are usually seen because these are sort of a defense mechanism that the person is trying to kind of build up, so that he or she doesn't have to face the trauma that he or she has gone in the childhood. So there, even to such child, if you the grown up child, if you even appreciate, even if you say something of appreciation, that this, you're very good, you're good in this and that, but that person can't believe, because it is against the statements of the parents, who used to kind of not consider him a very worthy child in the childhood. So it's like it just clashes in his mind, and he's unable to accept that he's also good. So you have to really counsel, again and again, built up, so that you can rewrite that statement, you can overwrite that statement, or delete that statement and create a fresh one. So that is the way that works in that case. But we have to know what we have to overwrite, we have to know what we have to delete. If we do not know that why I'm getting angry today, it's because of what my father has told me like 20 years ago. If I do not do that, know that how am I going to kind of recreate my life or upgrade myself? I will be stuck. I'll keep feeling, oh, I'll keep saying that, giving those excuses, oh, I just get angry, I don't know what happens to me, it just comes up, and all of that excuses. So that's very important for us to understand. So in traumas, there is a very powerful emotion attached to the statement, what is written in our mind. So if this is about the comparison, there is a lot of fear and rejection. All those emotions are also attached. So you have to really work very strongly on the traumas. Then we come to the assumptions. Now, assumptions are something that we just create. We just come up with something. For example, hard work is the key to success. Hard work makes you successful. So now this is something that is my assumption. That is an assumption of my mind. And now, if I hear someone that he works just 5 hours a day or just 3 hours a day, and still he's very successful. He is because in my mind the definition of hard work is working long hours, working like an animal. You keep working since morning till evening, but that person is very successful and he's not working very hard. Then that creates a clash in my mind that, oh, that can't be true. He might be using some unethical sources, some unethical ways to earn money or to be successful. So immediately your mind rejects that. Why? Because this is your assumption that only hard work can make you successful. So I'm just taking, and it can be any assumption. So you have to find for yourself what are the various assumptions that you have in your mind about yourself, about life, about success, about money, about getting popular, about being rich. We have a lot of assumptions. So unless those are there in our mind, we won't be able to kind of override them. Uh, so yes, so that's about assumptions. Then the next is past experiences. Now the past experiences is anything. So now we are experiencing this world. Even in this moment, you're looking at me. You are visually sort of experiencing this moment of watching this video. You are hearing this video, right? You might be after this. You might be doing something else. There is the involvement of your sense. So we keep receiving signals through these doors, through these five sense organs, and we keep making a mental image in our mind. So, for example, if I'm looking at a tree, I'm making a mental image of that tree in my mind. When I look at a road, I make a mental image of that road. I look at wall, I make a mental image of that wall. So there are a lot of experiences that whatever our age is today, whatever moments we have lived. So there are a lot of experiences, a lot of things that have been stored in ourselves, and you can imagine them as lying like files in our memory bank. So our mind has sort of a lot of folders and files, and all these belief systems, values, assumptions, past experiences, traumas, everything is like are all there. And the experiences, past experiences, are all the moments that we have sort of experienced through our senses. There's a mental image. Um, usually the more recent ones are on the top, like your recent files in the computer are on the top, and also the experiences that we have experienced multiple times. So wherever there is a repetition, usually those are also on the top. And the third factor to determine which is on the top is how strong emotion is connected to that experience. If there is a very strong trauma or very strong emotion is attached to that experience, then that is also going to stay on the top. So what does it mean to be for an experience to be on the top is that is what our mind is going to refer to when we look at or when we hear something or we smell something. So whatever we experience through a sense organ today, our mind is going to refer to those recent files first, and then we'll go to the other files. So that's how by experiencing similar things again and again and again and again, that makes a very strong impact on our mind, and that's what we keep referring to again and again. So from there comes the the recurring events that happens in our life. So I'm going to talk about that as well in one of the videos, but here it's going to be too long. So I hope this simple thing of input, processing, and output. Input is the stimulus from the sense organs. Processing is the processing done by the mind, basis the beliefs, values, assumptions, past traumas, past experiences that are stored in the memory bank. So those are like the reference that our mind usually takes from. And then basis those references, our mind perceives the signals that are received now from the sense organs and gives a response and output to the emotional body and the physical body to generate relevant emotions and the relevant actions. So our behavior, our emotions, or how we feel, the feelings are all determined by how our mind has processed the information of the scene that our eyes had just witnessed. So they're very important and essential touch points that from where we can get a lot of self knowledge, a lot of information about our own self. So if we start working backwards, if there's a feeling that we don't like in ourselves, we don't want to feel that way, then we have to really work backwards. What are the situations under which I feel this way? So if we find out that situation, then we have to refer back and see how our mind is processing that. When I feel, for example, if I feel envy, then why I'm feeling envy? Is there something, what is my mind referring to while generating this feeling of envy? So just sharing a very important thing here about envy is that usually we have to make somebody less to make ourselves more, you know or we always are in this thing that somebody is less, we are more, or we are less, somebody is more. So this is a continuous fight that keeps happening all the time in our minds. We are all the time comparing ourselves, or even you might be comparing what I'm saying right now. Maybe you might have heard something similar in the past. You might be just right now comparing it with it. So our mind has this habit of comparing rather than staying in that moment, staying with what you are hearing right now, staying with what you are seeing right now, and experiencing it as a live, fresh moment without comparing it with anything else. Having the flexibility to understand that a tree might be called something else in other language. Have that flexibility. Do not get rigid. So that is very essential, that at the moment we just see what is coming right now and let our mind absorb it rather than start giving an output, start reacting. That's what everybody says, that don't react. But unless we know where the reaction is coming from, how will we stop reacting? Because as I said, it's an automated process, it's an automated machine. We are not we don't have a control over it right now, but we can get a control over it. We can bring our consciousness. We can consciously intervene in the process of this automated processing. But for that, we have to know where it is coming from, how it is being done. Only then we can intervene. Wow, what a beautiful sun. See, each moment is changing. Then why to compare it with something that has gone? Why to not live it something as fresh? So yes, let's find out for ourselves our top emotions that are bothering us, and let's start working backwards. Let's depuzzle this mind, find out what is processing for our own selves, and keep exploring our own mind as much as we can. Keep walking on this path of self-knowledge. It's really exciting. I hope this video helped you understand the whole processing that we have talked about. It's very crucial. Please keep seeing it, how it works for yourself in your daily life. Look at the stimulus that excites and ignites the processing and generates the kind of emotions and physical response that you do not want, and start working backwards and keep drilling inside. You have a very important tool now. We'll keep talking about this important topic further ahead, and we'll be going through how we can work more in detail to take the control of our mind. So keep watching and take care of yourself. Thank you.